and welcome to Rooted in Yad, where I talk about what it's really like living in Jamaica so that you can know what to expect and how to thrive if you're planning to make the move here. And today, we're getting into some of the things that I really love about Jamaica, because after creating a whole series on all of the things I find frustrating, I thought it would also be fair to also talk about all of the things that I really love about Jamaica. So to start, and these are in no particular order, but to start, one thing that I really love about Jamaica is the weather. Obviously, everyone loves Jamaica's weather, right? At least I should say foreigners. Foreigners a lot of times love Jamaica's weather. And I say this especially when I'm coming from a place like Canada, right? Like having this weather is amazing, right? Like I love just having one set of clothes and shoes that I can wear at any time of the year, unlike Canada, where I have to have, clothes for each season, and then that leads to clothes not being used for months and then taking up a lot of space, and it's just annoying. And then, I love that I can get sunshine almost every day. Again, unlike Canada, where at least 6 months of the year it's just like dreary and overcast and miserable. And even when the sun is out, because the sun comes out in the winter, but it's just, I don't know, it's just cold. I guess it's nice for the sun to be out, but it's just not nice in the winter. And then obviously it's hot year round here, which I love. It's warm even at night. Like I can go out at night and go look at the stars. I loved in Canada, those warm summer nights where I can just go outside and look at the stars. I can look at the stars outside like anytime, any night. As long as the sky is clear, I can go out there and look, and I find that amazing. I love that I don't have to deal with like winter or snow or like muddy slush stuff. Like over here, it's bright, it's beautiful, and it makes me feel so good. And because of the weather, it's funny, I live here and I don't go to the beach much, haha, but I have access. Mostly. And I say mostly because in case you are unaware, the majority of Jamaican beaches are actually closed off to the public because they are owned by resorts. So the majority of Jamaican beaches are privatized. So, unlike Bahamas or, wherever other islands where the beaches are accessible to everyone all the time, even the hotel and resort beaches, that is not the case here at the moment. For example, if I lived in Ochi right now, if I lived in Ocho Rios, there are actually no free beaches. If I lived in Ocho Rios and I wanted to go to a beach, I would have to go pay a hotel to access the beach. Here in Montego Bay, there are a few like accessible beaches, but there's really only one decent free beach, and that's Harmony Beach. But Sandals, the resort, actually wants to privatize even more beach in Montego Bay, which is disgustingly greedy behavior. And at this point, the locals are thankfully starting to voice their opinions about this. In fact, even at this point, expats are voicing their opinion because this is ridiculous. So in light of this, there is currently a petition going out to give Jamaicans free access back to their beaches. The petition closes on June 30th. But if it reaches 15,000 signatures before that time, the Jamaican government will actually be obligated to talk about this issue because they operate off of a system. In case you didn't know, they operate off of a system similar to the UK, which I guess that's not surprising. But they operate off of a system similar to the UK, which requires issues to be talked about if they are petitioned in this way with this many signatures. So if you don't do anything else that I ever ask, the only thing that I'm going to ask is if you can please sign this and share it with as many people as possible before June 30th. And to sign it, all you need to do is provide your first name, last name, email address, and then you do have to confirm your email address. But once you confirm it, like you just click a link to confirm it, then you will see that you are you'll see on the page, it'll say that your signature has been added. Now, if this petition doesn't end up reaching the 15,000 signatures by June 30th, I'm thinking there will probably be another petition that'll come out. And if that's the case, I will link it. I will switch the link that'll be in the description and comments. But the link for this description is definitely going to be in the description and comments when you see this video. Okay, but going back to what I was saying about the weather. So I think the last thing that I love about Jamaica's weather is that it gives you the ability to not only see that beautiful, inviting greenery everywhere, which is really nice to see, it's really refreshing, but it also allows you to grow your food all year if you want to, right? Like, I mean, I know things grow in and out of season, yeah, but like with the right crops, you can literally have things growing all year, which I think is absolutely amazing. Which actually leads me to my next point, which is that I love that Jamaica itself, like the land and the sea, is so supportive of life. Like it's just easy for life to exist here. So when I was considering somewhere to live, one of the reasons that I thought about coming back here is because I was like, I mean, one thing is that, I already had my residency. I knew I can get citizenship, all that. So that was, a big factor. But another important thing I considered was that, I'm like, hey, if stuff hits the fan and I suddenly find, my husband and I suddenly find that in this capitalistic system, we can't support ourselves anymore, well, we can sell off all of our things and go live in a bush somewhere over here. And like, I'm laughing and you might be laughing at me like, girl, you're crazy. But I'm actually serious, okay? This was actually a serious consideration for me because, I'm looking around at all the things that are going on in the world, and there's a lot that seems to be going downhill fast. So I want to be somewhere where it'll be easier to exist, just naturally. Like in places like Canada, it's not easy to exist there without modern conveniences. Like you have to pay for heating in the winter, okay? That's a must, which means you have to be able to afford that. And then if you can't afford that, like if you're renting somewhere, or let's say you own a home over there and you can't afford that and your pipes burst, well then you're going to be in a problem. Or you might literally freeze. Like you can literally freeze to death, which sucks. And you have to be able to afford like warm clothes and boots for the winter because if you don't have those things, and let's say you don't freeze to death, okay? If you don't have those things, you will either get very, very sick and then die, or you might like lose some limbs and extremities due to frostbite and such, like due to the cold. Like you have to be able to afford everything. You have to be able to afford water. Like in Canada, it's not common to have, I've talked a lot about like, how ensuring there's water tanks on the premises here when you're renting in Jamaica or when you have a home in Jamaica. But in places like Canada, that's not common to have. It's not common to have a water tank on premises like that, and attached to your home like that. And even if you did, that you'd have to make sure it's, underground and insulated in a particular way so that the water doesn't freeze. And then you have to be able to afford a car in probably the majority of Canada. Like outside of major cities and outside of Ontario, public transportation isn't really a thing. So like it's a necessity for you to get a car. And then, once you get your car, then it's all the money to upkeep the car and everything. So you have to be able to afford that. And then you have to buy food. I just mentioned in my previous point that you can grow food all year round here in Jamaica. In Canada, you can't do that. There is nowhere in Canada that allows you to naturally grow food all year round, right? In autumn, the things are dying, everything's dying. And then in winter, nothing can grow, right? It's too cold for anything to grow. So like what this means is that you are literally subject to whatever prices that the grocery stores want to give you. Because, you have to eat. And obviously, these grocery stores know that, and they are greedy with their record profits for groceries. So, they're going to continue raising prices because things like food is a necessity and people are going to do what they need to do in order to eat. And yeah, housing is a necessity too. There is that. But because of, things like this and greedflation, the housing prices and the rental prices are ridiculous, quite frankly. And as I said, if you cannot afford this, then you're in for a very hard time, just like existing in Canada. Like it literally costs money just to be alive over there. In Canada, actually, there are more and more unhoused people every year, probably every month at this point. And it's not because, they're addicts or they made wrong decisions or whatever. It's just they literally cannot afford basic necessities, because a lot of the jobs out there, like, yeah, there's a lot of jobs, but then a lot of those jobs do not pay enough that allow you to, they don't pay you enough in order to afford your basic necessities, right? Unless you're working 2, 3, 4 jobs, and like that just sucks. And then what if you can't do that? And what if you get hurt? And then they're not really going to help you if you get hurt and stuff like that. And okay, let's say if you get hurt, maybe, you know, there's certain laws in Canada for that, but these companies fight them all the time, or they get away with stuff all the time. So then you're just SOL, right? And then there are food banks. So let's say if you're having a hard time with food, yeah, okay, there are food banks in Canada. But a lot of them have actually started to run out of food because more and more people are starting to depend on the food banks. And I'm also thinking that less people are probably giving to the food banks because they're like, hey, we need the food for ourselves and our families. So after I got laid off in 2023, I looked at all of that and I was like, nope, I don't want this. I don't want to live this life. I don't want to be here. So this is one of the reasons that I consider Jamaica, and one of the reasons that I love it here, because the island, the sea, like Jamaica, it's just conducive for supporting life, right? Even if you don't have any money. In fact, Jamaica, I don't think Jamaica actually needs money to support life here, right? Like there's enough here on the land and in the sea to literally have everybody's belly full and have everybody healthy. Like I don't think Jamaica needs money in order for life to be supported here, unlike what I mentioned with Canada. In my opinion, the only reason Jamaica life can really be difficult is because of capitalism and greed, which, I mean, the greed is going to come along with capitalism because capitalism rewards greed and rewards exploitation. So I think that if like Jamaica was a more communal place, as in like it did away with capitalism, people would be a lot better off here, right? Like they wouldn't need a job. They wouldn't need to worry about all of that. They would feel supported because the land literally supports life. It's just easy to exist here. It's just easy to be a human, just exist here, right? So this is why I said, you know, if worst case scenario happens, if worst comes to worst, right, and stuff hits the fan, we can go live in a bush somewhere, right? And it probably, I know it probably won't be comfortable at first without modern conveniences, but we would be able to survive. In fact, I'm thinking we would probably be able to have some modern conveniences, because if we did actually sell everything, we could buy up things like solar generators and such, and then still have access to certain things like electricity. We'd be able to definitely afford a good composting toilet, so that wouldn't be an issue. And then even when it comes to my menstrual products, I'm already good because I'm already using like discs and cups and stuff. Like I don't use pads, so like I'm good there for that too. So it's not like we'd have to go buy those things. And like, you know, you ever watch those people on YouTube? Usually they're like Asian. You think they're Asian? And they like go out in the wilderness and they build a whole like tree house or build a whole like, I don't know, clay house and forage and everything with just what the land gives them. Like, we could literally do that here if we needed to. I mean, I know in my lifetime, I would never be able to just exist like that in Canada, right? Just be able to just exist without money. Because as I said, it costs money to just exist in Canada. So I've talked a lot about this one point, but this is one of the things that, as I said, it was a serious consideration for me in moving here. Okay. So I'm just going to move on to the next point now. Something else that I do love about Jamaica, so this is the third thing. Something else that I really do love about Jamaica is that the cost of living is lower than Canada, right? Like as a Canadian, or Canadian first because I have my citizenship here, but being Canadian first, it is advantageous for me to live here, right? Like, okay, my dollar is not like, you know, the British pound or the euro. It's not, my dollar is not even like the US dollar, but my Canadian dollars still can go further here, which does help. I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, cost of living in Jamaica has raised significantly. It is significantly more than when I got married in 2015. So like it's a lot more costly. Things are a lot more costly than they used to be. But compared to Canada, it is still affordable. Like right now, my brother in Canada is actually paying, I think it's like 850 Canadian dollars a month for like a little room with a washroom. I just saw a listing here in this area for a whole apartment, a whole 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment for about that much money. And he's in Canada paying that much for a room with a washroom, right? And like what he's paying is actually pretty good for what it is, because most places are actually more expensive than that. It's even gotten to the point now where I've actually seen people renting out the other side of their bed in order to afford, you know, their rent, in order to afford necessities. But I mean, yeah, based on what I said, you can see that over here, it's not at all like that. I mean, if you're in Kingston, the prices are probably going to be higher because that's, you know, that's the capital of Jamaica. That's where things are like booming. There's a lot more amenities, a lot more jobs, etc., etc. So if you're in Kingston, the prices are going to be higher. But like, you know, here in Mobay or like literally anywhere else in Jamaica, you are likely going to find it to be quite affordable if you're coming from a place like Canada or the UK or the US. So the last thing I'm going to mention that I really love about Jamaica, and maybe this is kind of weird, but it's the smell. Okay. I don't know. Like if you've been here, I don't know if other islands smell like this, because like I haven't been to other islands. I've really only been to Jamaica. But if you've been here, I don't know if you've noticed, but Jamaica has a very distinct, calming, soothing smell. It's a little hard to describe. Maybe it's like a mix of different smells, like maybe a mix of like a distant smell of roasted breadfruit mixed with plantain or something. Like it's not really that, but it just, I don't know, it makes me feel very nice. It's very warm, very calming, very inviting, very soothing. Like the smell is just very nice. When I came back to Jamaica in 2023, I remember that I was actually very upset that day because the male WestJet agent, gate agent, wanted to be a jack of Astors that day, and decided to deliberately lie to my face and tell me that our underseat bags wouldn't fit under the seat and that I'd have to check the bags. I mean, I didn't have to pay to check the bags, but he's just like, oh, it won't fit and I have to, you know, you're gonna have to check the bags. And I know that was a lie because those bags were specifically purchased. The bags were actually smaller than the dimensions that were listed on WestJet's site. But like I've flown with WestJet before multiple times. Like I know what the underseat looks like. Even the middle seat on some of the planes, the middle seat is like smaller. I specifically purchased the underseat bags to fit in that. So the bags were smaller than what needed to go under the seat. But you know, he looked at my face and lied to me and decided to go on a power trip and tell me that those bags couldn't fit and they had to be checked. And it was really upsetting to me because the entire point of a carry-on and an underseat personal item is to ensure that I don't have to check those things, you know, put them under the plane, to ensure that they are not checked luggage. Because, you know, once an airline loses your luggage or damages your luggage, they don't want to do anything. Even if they say in their policy or whatever, or they have to give, like, was it Air Canada? I think both Air Canada and WestJet have countersued people, or like people have taken them to court because they're like, hey, according to your policy, I need compensation. And then even though WestJet and Air Canada both have enough money, they still fight back against the little money that the people are saying, hey, you need to give this money back to me because my items were damaged or what have you. But see, like, these airlines don't want to take any accountability, so that is the entire point as to why I don't want to put things under the plane if I don't have to. So this is why I was very upset. And to make matters worse, those bags actually had, because I'm like, I know they can fit under the seat and stuff, and I want to be able to have access to them in case of anything. Those bags had things with like lithium batteries, which are not supposed to go under the plane, at least according to the plane's website. They are not supposed to go under the plane. You are not supposed to put laptops and stuff like that, anything with lithium batteries, you're not supposed to put them under the plane for safety reasons. But you know, they obviously safety was not a factor in this. You can see that I was quite upset. And then to make matters worse, when we got on the plane, okay, there was someone who came in last minute, and this lady had a whole bag of things. She could barely fit it under the seat. And yet the thing I wanted to fit under the seat wouldn't be able to fit. It was some BS. I was very upset. You can see I was very upset. But you see, when I landed here and got off the plane, it's like, I don't know, when I smelled the air, like, it was just so warm and inviting and calming. Like I couldn't be upset anymore. Like I was trying to hold on to the anger, because let me tell you, I'm a review girly, okay? If a business upsets me, they are gonna hear about it on social media. I'm cussing like Flow all the time, sending them like putting reviews up about Flow, about how they need to fix Flow, meaning like Flow Jamaica, the phone internet company here. I'm like leaving reviews how they need to fix this and that and whatever. I'm a review girly, okay? I like to give reviews, and especially if it's a bad review about it, I will be heard. If I did not have a good experience, I will be heard. So I was ready to, like on that plane, I was crafting in my mind what I was going to say to WestJet and the Google reviews, etc., etc. Like I was so upset. But when I landed and smelled the air, y'all, I couldn't be angry anymore. I smelled the air, and the stress just, frustration just literally melted away from my body. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, so obviously by the time I left the airport and got to my destination, I wasn't upset anymore. I couldn't be. So yeah, I really love the smell of Jamaica. I don't really smell it so much now because, you know, I live here, so like I'm kind of used to it, but like every so often I'll like get a whiff of the smell. Like I'll just be walking in the house and I'll just get a whiff of the smell. I'm just like, Like it's just so calming and relaxing. I don't know, y'all. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe, hey, if I'm weird, let me know. Maybe I'm weird. But like I love the smell here. That's one thing I really love. I really, really love the smell of Jamaica. And the air. The air, you know, it's very warm, very inviting. The air with the smell, it's just very, very nice. In Canada, the air is very sharp, I guess. Well, a lot of months it's cold, so the air is going to be kind of sharp. But I don't know. The whole point is I don't think I deserve to live in a place where the air hurts my face. Okay? I want to be somewhere where the air does not hurt my face and breathing the air does not hurt my chest. Okay? So that's it from me today. Those are the things, some of the things that I love about Jamaica. I hope that you found this helpful or informative or at least entertaining. If you did, do hit that like button to let me know. But I also want to hear from you, okay? If you're a Jamaican or you're living here, what do you love about Jamaica? Share it in the comments. And even if you're not living here, what is drawing you to Jamaica? Like, why Jamaica as opposed to some other island? I'd really love to know. I think it would be interesting to know. So feel free to share it with me in the comments. And if you are planning to move here, please do not leave without grabbing your freebies, okay? These freebies, I created them. Like, I didn't pay someone to create them. I created them, and it's to help give you a head start on like what to bring, what to prep, what to expect, stuff like that. So the link to the freebies will be in the description and in the comments. And if you do want more support, more than like in the freebies and in my videos, I've created 2 resources to help your transition to Jamaica go smoother, okay? One is my Moving to Jamaica guide. At the point of this video, this guide is still in the creation process. I have like everything outlined. I just like need to polish it up and make it look pretty, stuff like that. But it is available for pre-order for only $10. When you pre-order it, you're actually going to see a list of like the table of contents as to the type of content that you can expect to receive from the guide. And I'm hoping I can add just a little more to it. But as I said, it's available for pre-order right now, only at $10. That price will go up when it is done. So do feel free to grab it early if you're interested. And the next thing that I think would be really helpful to you is the Rooted in Yard membership. So this is a supportive space where we will have live video chat, so we can just like, you know, chill and vibe, build community, or you can ask questions about living here because I live here, right? I'll give you as much information as I can. And then, you know, there'll be weekly reflection prompts. You will have access to a private community to connect with others. And you will also have early access to all of my content. So if you're interested in these things, the links will be in the description and in the comments. In the meantime, thank you for watching. If you do like this video, do subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. And I will see you in the next one.